Hello everyone, I'm the Peculiar Pisces and welcome to my channel. Today is Monday, January 22nd, 2024. I'm back with Flosstube video number 3. I am 2 weeks into my 4 projects that I started this 2024. 3 of them, I have a goal of having them finished and framed and ready to be turned in June 28th and 29th for the county fair. My state fair still hasn't put out any guidelines on submissions for the state fair. So this coming week, I will print out the list of the winners and pour over the categories and figure out, because it's so confusing looking at the state fair, because there were 3 classes, a juniors, an adult, and then a seniors. And then each of those 3 classes had like the same categories. And I know that they had categories for fabric sizes, but then there are categories for the overall size, like under 35 inches, under 12 inches, things like that. So I'm going to have to pour over those lists of the winners and figure out what categories I'm going to be eligible for. But hopefully I'll be able to just submit the same 3 pieces to the state fair as well. At least that's the goal. I do know that the state fair has a sampler category, whereas my county fair doesn't. The county fair has a blackwork category. So because I knew for sure about that category, that's why one of my projects is a blackwork category. Now, before I jump right in, I don't have any finishes yet, but I want to show you something. So I figured over the next few weeks, I will start showing you past finishes, and what year I finished them in, and if I have any of the information on the kit or anything like that, I will give that information. But most of these were all done from kits that I've had. So I'll show you an old finish. This one is from 2001. This was actually the year that I graduated high school, dating myself there. I went up to Penn State for an FFA thing. I think it was a public speaking thing, and I competed. I don't believe that I placed. I don't remember placing, but we stopped at Penn State, or at Penn State was where the public speaking thing was held. And I know that I competed in 2 different categories. So did one of my friends that was, with me. Anyway, so when we were leaving, the teacher in charge we stopped at the creamery, because you can't go to Penn State and not stop at the creamery, right? And then I think there was like a little gas station, or maybe I got this at the creamery. I don't quite remember, but I was like, oh, it's a cross stitch of the Penn State Nittany Lion paw print. I was like, so I'm gonna do it. I believe it was 14 count Ada. And this color here was a blend of the white and the dark blue. So it's white, the blend, and the dark blue. And then lots and lots of outlining, and then the things. And like I said, 2001. So that's a past finish. Next week I'll show you something else until I finally have a finish to show you. So my first project, my main project, this one is the one that I'm calling Favorite Designer, and I have it geared for the county fair. They have a category that is 14 to 18 count, so I like to be right in the middle. So I chose 16 count. It was white. I hand dyed this myself. I was kind of trying to go for dragonfire and ash, so I was going for red and yellow and gray. And then the red that I used and the yellow that I used behaved a little unexpectedly, and the orange turned out more brown than, like, I was hoping for a more brighter, fiery flame kind of orange, but it's okay. I like how the fabric turned out. And the gray that I mixed up, it actually had some green in it. And when the yellow hit the gray, it brought out the green. And so I have a little bit of green areas throughout the fabric. Again, they behaved unexpectedly, but I love how the fabric turned out. So this is my favorite designer. This is Teresa Wentzler. This particular one is called the Castle. Let me grab. This is the end result. This is where I am. I'm getting there. I'm almost done with this quarter. There's only 4 pages to this pattern, so I'm getting there. This is 2 strands over 1. And then this week I put in 13 hours, 23 minutes, 39 seconds. My stopwatch actually goes to the milliseconds, but you don't need that. Together, between last week and this week, I've put in a total of 28 hours, 37 minutes, 15 seconds, and 1 millisecond. This is the one that I work on every single night before bed. I get a dedicated at least 2 hours on it, sometimes more. This is the one that definitely gets worked on the weekends. I have found that I've had time for the other ones on the weekends too, but not nearly as much time as I've put into the other ones. Project number 2. Is my blackwork piece called Pentecost. And I got this off of Etsy from Practical Blackwork. It's very hard to see from this page. I don't know why this one's so blurry. This one looks clearer as far as the picture. I'm 2 weeks in. I've gotten page 4 and page 3 completed. And now I'm starting up on page 2. So this is page 4 and page 3. I'm a middle out stitcher. So this is the center, and the whole thing just repeats the entire way around. So to get the full picture, that's page 4, that's page 3. I've moved up to page 1, and then I'll finish off with page 2. And then what I will probably just end up doing once I end up moving my hoop is just turning it sideways and doing the exact same thing, stitching from the middle out from page 4, 3, 2, and 1. So yeah, last week I'm pretty sure I had page 1 finished. So this week I had not page 1, page 4 finished. This week I had page 3 finished, and now I moved on to page 1. Also, I love how this looks on the back. Like, it says that it's not meant to be, forward and backwards, but this looks really cool on the back, just as cool as on the front. This is, I did not give you the information before I started talking. This is 18 count hand dyed Ada. It was white. I used 2 different shades of green when I was dyeing this, and then I used jet black. I was kind of going for a Celtic feel to the piece because this design just put me in the mind of, a Celtic pattern. This is 1/1. It's coming along beautifully. I love how intricate and how beautiful this is turning out. And I can't wait to see. This is probably going to be the one that's finished first because it's working up so very, very quickly. This one I put in 9 hours, 21 minutes, 24 seconds into it. And so between last week and this week, it's been a total of 17 hours, 41 minutes, and 40 seconds. Project 3 is Fae Risque, which is based on an Amy Brown design, and this is from Heaven and Earth Designs. The reason that I have my finger here is that my name is written on here, and down when you see my name. There are 84 colors in this pattern. It's definitely a confetti piece. Confetti pieces are not my favorite. They're not. They really, really aren't. But I knew what I was purchasing. And besides it being a confetti piece, I'm trying to do a color conversion, one that I created on my own. I don't have DMC's handy little floss book, which I need. And so what I did is I pulled the colors that it called for, and then I tried to find an equivalent in blue. This is, let me take my pattern off. This is 22 count. It is 2/1. This was white Aida that I hand dyed. I used jet black and pearl gray to get the colors. I was really trying to dye the fabric as close as possible to what is shown. This is my progress on this project. I've got a lot of the skein down. It was a big block of color, and because I'm not a confetti fan, I was like, yeah, let's just get these big blocks of color done. This is part of her arm, her shoulder, her armband. I do have some of the blue colors in the center of the armband done. Mostly, though, I've got blacks and grays and whites and light grays and a pale purple and some Krynic in there. I don't know how well it's picking up. But yeah, this is 22 count, 2/1 with a color conversion from red to the blue. And this one, I have put 11 hours, 59 minutes, and 58 seconds into it. And so between last week and this week, I'm up to 17 hours, 38 minutes, and 52 seconds. So this one has almost gotten as much time as the black work. And the black work is just flying by. This scroll frame that I got, I purchased, it's a very big floor stand that sits at my couch. And this came with the PVC pipes, but for some reason it wasn't holding the fabric as tightly as I would have liked. And so what I ended up doing was taking some Aida fabric and stapling it to the bars so that I could lightly stitch my piece onto it so that I can tighten it better. This is great. and it's doing perfect. But now I'm going to need to get those things that are going to go on either side that, sort of pull it tight. Um, but the modifications that I made so far are working well for this piece. And finally, my last piece is my Stashbuster piece. This is the piece that has been in my stash for 15, 20, 25 years. I don't know. Longer than I've had my husband. And so this is the piece that sits in my car. It gets the least amount of attention. It gets the least amount of work. And that's okay. So this is a plaid Bucilla kit. The designer is Donna Dewberry. The pattern is called Hummingbird and Floral. The provided fabric that came with it, which is still in here, was 14 count white Aida. I wanted to dye my own fabric. I'm on this kick. I've been stitching for 25, 26 years, and I'm done doing white or cream or navy or black Aida. I need fabric that's, beautiful and colorful, and I'm just going to try to dye each piece of fabric for, individually for each pattern. So, I dyed it blue. Oh, I think you can actually see it a little bit better this time. I dyed it, I used 2 shades of blue. I used Ritz Aquamarine and I used Ritz Navy. And I kept them really light because I just wanted this to look like the sky. I just needed it to be sky-like behind this picture because it's hummingbirds. It's a hummingbird and it's lots of flowers. So this kit has actually been quite a surprise. I was not expecting the amount of detail in this kit. There's half stitches where it started me out. There's full cross stitches. And then these that I'm working on right here is a blend. Now, I'm not sure if there's French knots, but there's probably French knots. There's back stitching. This is the pattern. It's large. That's where I am. I've got lots and lots of work cut out for me on this, but I'm very, very surprised. And there was a lot of floss. I had showed you that I purchased this for my floss. There was so much floss that I had to purchase a second one. So now from the same person, I have the star originally, and now I have the sun. If I have to get a third one, I'm going to get the moon. But, excuse me. I really like these floss drops. I like how easy it is to get the floss on and off. My cats are being crazy. They're chasing each other. This is, I said it's 14 count Aida. It is 2 strands over one, except where this half stitching is. This half stitching, it called for 1 strand. I think there are half stitches later that call for 2 strands. This, I mean, it's a surprise kit. It's more complicated than I gave it credit for when I first picked it, and I love it. I just don't have a lot of time to devote for it. This one is the one that I work on while I'm sitting at the kiss and drop lane waiting for my kids to get out of school. So potentially I only have Monday through Friday to work on it. Since I've picked it up, I haven't actually had a full week to work on it. They either don't have school or they don't like I've had to pick them up early for some appointments, stuff like that. This week, on Wednesday, I did get almost an hour. It was 57 minutes into it. And then on Friday, because Thursday is when I picked him up for an appointment, on Friday, I got another 28 minutes. And I think 28 minutes is probably going to be the average on what I get to focus on this piece when the kids have school. This week, I did get an hour and 25 minutes and 48 seconds to work on it. So between last week and this week, I've put in a whole whopping 2 hours into it. So this one is going to take forever to finish, and that's okay. It's been in my stash forever. It can take forever to finish. It's the other three that are for the fair that I'm putting more of a priority on. My days usually consist of me taking these kids to school. I come home, the light in this room at this table coming through my sliding glass window, which I have the door shut so that it wasn't so bright. But the light coming through there is perfect. It streams in perfect. Everything is illuminated beautifully, and I can just sit here at the kitchen table and I fly on the black work. And then afternoon, after I eat lunch, I work on the ferry for, a few hours until it's time for me to get ready to go pick up my kids. Then I go pick up my kids and I sit there in the car and I wedge my Q snap between the steering wheel and me, and because I stitch two-handed. That's why all of my things are on hoops, and the stand that I use at bed, um, I take my Teresa Wentzler off at night and I bring it down and I use that and it holds my black work. And so I just sit here and I just stitch two-handed and I fly. And then sometimes in the evening while I'm cooking dinner and stuff, I'll go back and work on the ferry a little bit more. It depends on how involved dinner is. And then at night from like 7 p.m. to 10 is prime stitching for me. There's a few nights this week that I didn't stitch on the Teresa Wentzler. I wasn't feeling well. I didn't want to be cramped up. I stitch cross-legged on my bed with my stand in front of me, and I do my thing. And then as the night wears on, I start shifting my legs out, or I put them down, or I keep myself comfortable in the few hours that I'm stitching. I could put anywhere from 4 hours into it. Then it just depends on how quickly the kids are getting into bed, and what other things I have to do before I can sit down and stitch. But overall, with the favorite designer piece, that one's getting on average 2 to 3 hours per night. It's sitting between 2 and 3 hours each night. So that's why I'm calling it my primary. It's the one that gets the most attention. So that's my weekly update. I will see you guys next week with week 3 of stitching.